For today, we'll discuss about abstraction in Java. So, the concept of abstraction is about hiding implementation details and showing only the essential features of the user. Think about TV remote control. You press buttons without knowing how it functions in the internally, or uh, you don't have access on how does the remote does it work. You just know an interface. There is a buttons and you just press them and it will provide you the result. So that's the concept of abstraction in Java. And then one way of implementing abstraction in Java is through interfaces. uh, Listed here are the key concepts of an interface. So, an interface before has purely abstract methods, but after Java 8, we can now also include methods that are default and static. Interfaces cannot have constructors or instance variables. For instance variables, you can only have constant, therefore it means that the value cannot be changed. And it uses implements keyword. So whenever we want to uh, use an interface, we use implements. The same way we use extents for inheritance of an abstract class or a parent class. All right. So there's different ways where when we need to use interfaces. For example, we want to define capabilities which are unrelated to the classes, and also uh, they can be methods that in the future we need, and we want to make sure that there's no breakage in our existing code. And also when we need a multiple inheritance type, because for the usual classes or abstract class, you can only extend once. But for interfaces, you can implement multiple interfaces. So let's go ahead. I'll provide you an example on how to create an interface. So let's continue with our example payment method. So for payment method, as you'll notice, it uses an interface keyword. This is a declaration. It's our declaration for the interface class. And then methods in an interface are abstract. That means there is no implementation. So this is a process payment is a method that accepts a double amount parameter and returns boolean. Doesn't have any implementation because we'll do the implementation to the implementing class later. Then let's add another method. Let's say string get payment details. Doesn't have any um, implementation. Later we'll provide the implementation. And as mentioned, we can have default and static methods. For default methods, this one, let's say validate amount. We check this default method checks whether the amount provided is not empty or not zero. Let's say. So these are the abstract methods. Then we also have a default method. And let's go ahead and create a class where it will implement this payment method interface. Uh, we right click here. Let's write credit card. Okay. Okay. So how do we use it? We use the implements keyword. Here, credit card implements payment method there, and it will show an error because since sorry, not interface, it's not should not be interface, it's a class. Now we getting an error because interfaces are contracts, so therefore it will require you to implement the methods, the abstract method you provided in your interface. So process payment and then get payment details. Process payment doesn't have any implementation yet, so you'll do that here in credit card. If provided amount, you do that here. The get payment details also. You put it down here. So let's say in the constructor, public credit card, we ask user to input the card number. Let me declare our card number, right? Okay. Then for the process payment method, we override the process payment interface. We create an implementation. Let's say when we're processing a payment, we call the um, default method validate amount to check if the amount is valid. Then if it's not valid, we return false. If it isn't, we then return true. Then for get payment details, we'll just return like the details of the credit card number. Let's try to use the substring. So we only get card number that substring, then card number that length. There we go. The last four digit for our card number. Ending with okay. So this how interfaces work. You create an interface, then list down your abstract method, meaning abstract, they don't have implementation with them. We end them with semicolon. And we use them on class by using the implements keyword. And from there, payment method will require you to implement the abstract class, in this case, the process payment method, and the get payment details. So we provided an implementation specific for credit card. Now, again, let's do that with our PayPal. So we copy payment credit card. Let's just copy this, then paste, change the name to PayPal. Alrighty. Okay, let's change some details here. So again, it requires user to provide an email address. Then the email used for payment is, don't need to do substrings, just print out the email address that was provided. Alright, so both of them implements payment method, then overrides the process payment and get payment details. Okay, so abstraction here is this part, process payment, get payment details. So when we go to our main class, so let's create a main class. Let's do payment demo. Then in payment demo, uh, since credit card and PayPal implements payment method, we can create like an array of payment methods. Payment method, okay, payments. And you can simply create here a new credit card that requires us to input card number, then a new, okay, sorry, so you have to put it inside a brace, no, a curly brace, and a new PayPal, as you have to input your email address. All right, okay, so what's happening here is we can then call process, can then loop over the payment method P. We're assigning the values in payments method to P. Okay, I'm forgetting public static void main. So do not forget your main method, so won't get those kind of errors. So P dot process payment, since process payment is a method that we have inside our interface. Say 100. Okay, so P process method, we now when you look at this code, it's this is the abstraction part. So process payment hides how we process the payment. When you look at this code, uh, we have we do processing, but not necessarily specific for credit card and PayPal. You don't see any uh, signs that you're processing through credit card or you're processing through PayPal. So it's abstracted for you. You do not know how the payment is being processed. All right, so let's just try to run and make sure that everything is running correctly. Okay, so it's running properly. We're not returning anything, so that is we're not printing anything, so that's expected. So that's interface for you. Now let's go with the abstract class. Let's go ahead and create another example. This time let's do like um, let me go ahead and close all these so it's not confusing. This time let's create a class. Earlier we created a interface. This time we will create a class and it should be abstract. Public class employee, public abstract class. So we add this keyword abstract class. Okay. I will show you what's the difference of abstract class and not and the other one is not being an abstract class. Let's use protected string name. Let me go ahead and type in some properties for our employee abstract class. Base salary, name, integer base salary. Okay, then enter, then tab. All right. Now we write abstract double calculate bonus. Calculate bonus. Right, so this is an abstract method, obviously, because we use the abstract keyword. Then it will not have an implementation. Usually, when we create methods, we put here a brace, the body. But for abstract method, there is no body. So this is required to be implemented when we extend an abstract class later. Then you can also have methods that are not abstract that has implementation. Get employee info, return ID. Let's just do plus concatenation ID plus name. There you go. We support tayo na IntelliJ. Then I think that's it for now. Let's go ahead and create a concrete implementation of employee since this is abstract. New Java class. A manager is a concrete type. Concrete class. Let me type it first. Class. Then, since employee is a class, if it's a class, we extend it. So extends employee. Now you'll get an error, red side. That's a warning. Let's try to hover. It says you have to implement abstract method. Since we have one abstract method here, IntelliJ will warn you, give you an error. So you need to click implement that abstract method, which is calculate bonus. There you go. Then again, get an error since employee needs a constructor that because you're extending an employee and to create an employee you need to supply this parameter. So we can do this. We need to do this to in manager, or if not, you can just provide like name, remove them, but you still need to call um, the super method. Then you can supply here like a default value. Although this isn't um, I just want to show you that this is possible. So ID is integer too. There you go. So manager can take a single parameter, but again, our superclass, which is employee or abstract class, requires you to provide three parameters. Okay, that's why we hard coded the ID and the base salary. Then for calculate bonus, let's say if you're a manager, you get my 0.20%. So let's say your base salary is this, base salary is this. So base salary, you can call the base salary in the parent class times 0.20 times 100. That's your bonus. Let's just say that's how you calculate bonus. This is an example. Okay. Then we can copy this manager class. Say, let's say another employee is a developer. Then we extend. Oops. Let me copy everything from extends to up until the end. Let me go ahead and change the name of our constructor to developer. This time, let's say it's a little smaller. ID is 244. This time it's a different calculation. 10. Calculate bonus. Alright, so I think these are the two implementation or our child class of our abstract class. So let's go ahead and create our uh, public static void main demo class. So this is where we'll create our employee. So let's try to do employee emp is equal to new employee. There you go. There is a problem since employee is an abstract class, therefore you won't be able to instantiate it, right? Since it's abstract, you need a concrete class for you to be able to do that. So uh, we created manager and developer are concrete classes so that we can create an employee. So instead of new employee, we do new manager, and new manager requires you to input a name, let's say Dave, and same with developer. This would be developer employee 1 and then employee 2. Alright, so we have the manager and developer, concrete class, and then the abstract class employee and employee 1 and 2. So this is how we uh, do abstraction. Okay, we create an interface or an abstract class. Then in our abstract class, he will only provide abstract methods. So as mentioned, you no longer care about how calculate bonus work for employee 1 and employee 2. You just have to call that method. Why am I getting an error? Okay, again, you need to be on inside a method. Calculate bonus. So employee 1 calculate bonus. You only see the interface, but you don't see how it's working in what's the work inside. Then you also have calculate bonus. We use abstract class since we want to have methods like get employee info available to us. If we use an interface, this will not be possible. Employee 2. Since for interfaces, most of them are abstract, and therefore you need to make an implementation out of it, and you cannot create like a method that are not abstract. Okay, so that's it for abstract class and interfaces. Thank you.